Welcome, everybody. The 2025 Western Hockey League draft is underway. If you want to listen to the draft in its entirety from actual legitimate professional experts, download the Victory Plus app. They are the new official partner of the Western Hockey League. Victory Plus, they cover the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Stars, but you only get those games if you actually reside in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you are outside of the state of Texas, you only get events like the WHL Draft as a guest. And I'll be watching the draft, but I will not be providing any audio from the draft because I could get a copyright strike for that. I don't think I will, but I'm not going to risk it, you know? I'm just choosing not to risk that. Rather be authentic, rather be original, rather be fun for my audience. And viewers are pouring in. I also have this Game Glance LED ticker. So if we get any updates on the NBA playoffs or Toronto and we're not in the middle of a pick, I will be glad to share that with our audience. But yeah, it's showing stocks in Bitcoin. I do own some of those as well, but yeah, basically, Knicks play the Celtics. Game 2 is tonight. If we get any updates, I'll be happy to share those. And then we got Nuggets Thunder Game 2 as well. But yeah, the Regina Pats are on the clock. Maddox Schultz. People have been talking about Maddox Schultz on HF board since the fall because I was trying to do some early research on the 2028 draft, find out who the front runner to go number 1 was, and it's been Maddox Schultz. The amount of hype this guy is generating in Western Canada right now pretty much rivals the amount of hype Andrew Luck got when he was at Stanford. So this guy is legitimately good. And he's going to be the number 1 pick in 2028. I know it feels very premature to say that 3 years out, but there really isn't a de facto challenger for him. And that was the case with Landon DuPont last year, at this time last year. Now there are some guys that are sort of getting their feet wet, entering other junior leagues that could emerge as challengers, like James Scantlebury, Rocco Pelosi. If either of them dominates and DuPont does not build on his rookie season, he gets worse the next 2 years. In that scenario, one of those two guys could jump him. But right now, DuPont's got to be the overwhelming favorite to go number 1. I just think he's going to get better. And after the OHL players in this year's NHL draft, I think we're going to see a big run from the Western Hockey League, starting with Gavin McKenna in 2026, DuPont in 2027, then Schultz in 2028. I've also heard that the 2029 and 2030 NHL drafts are very weak. Like, they're the 2 weakest draft. It's like after a decade of really strong draft classes, get 2 really weak drafts, and then things pick up in 2031. But a lot of those hockey scouts on HF boards are like grown-ups. They're starting to look at kids when they're like 8, 9, 10 years old. It's too early to scout a player and project their career, in my opinion. I think that's way too early to scout a player and project their career, how their career in hockey is going to pan out. Are they going to make the NHL? I think that's way too early. But some people think it's not early enough. Like, eyes were on Connor Bedard when he was 10, 11, 12. That's how early he was on radars. But yeah. I do believe Maddox Schultz is going number 1. The question is who's going to follow him and how is the rest of the draft order going to shake up. I'm pretty certain Alexis Joseph's going to go number 1 in June's Quebec Major Junior Hockey League draft as well. So, again, yeah. Do we have any comments in the chat room? Also, we are moving to Rumble in the fall, you guys. So if you're on Rumble or if you're on Kick or Twitch, just giving you a heads up, we are moving to Rumble in the fall. I am going to stop streaming on one of those two services. And look, if Restream, if you're listening to this and you decide to add Discord, we'll probably make Discord. We'll probably add Discord and Rumble and get rid of Kick and Twitch. Because I do have a Discord channel for Draft Utopia. I would like to build that up. And look, if you help me build that up from the ground up, we will take the topics you request and we will make those the focal point of our show. So if you'd rather hear me talk about football than hockey, get on the Discord channel and turn that thing into a cult. All right. Do we have an update yet on the Regina Pats? It just feels like the commissioner's taking forever to announce the first pick. Okay, so the Regina Pats are officially on the clock now that the commissioner. I really hope Mike Green does right. Mike Green's amazing. I mean, he did some write-ups. He did some analysis for the last few WHL drafts on YouTube. I don't see him on Victory Plus, but I hope he's there. Who's going first? It's going to be Maddox Schultz, Hockey Highlights. Hockey Highlights, Maddox Schultz is going number one, okay? This guy has generated an Andrew Luck level hype in Western Canada. He is going to be the number one pick in not just this draft. He's already the front runner to go number one in 2028. Like, there are people on HF boards talking about him back in September. That's how much hype Maddox Schultz has gotten. I think you could make an argument that Maddox Schultz has gotten just as much hype as both Landon DuPont and Gavin McKenna. I think you could also make an argument he's generated more hype than those two. So he's going to go number one. I don't think that's up for debate. What happens at number two with the Edmonton Oil Kings, and the Oil Kings have 3 first-round picks this year. If the Oil Kings wanted him badly enough, they would throw the farm at Regina to get him. So, but he's a hometown guy. He's actually from Regina. I don't think Regina's going to trade him, even if they get 3 number ones and 2 number twos, or they get some Godfather-like offer. I don't think they're going to move down a spot. That's how good Schultz is. And I just think Regina, hometown guy, I think they think that highly of Schultz. So we'll see. But Schultz is a right winger. McKenna's a left winger, but he can also play center. And defenseman, Landon DuPont's a defenseman. So we have not seen, I don't think we've seen a right winger go first overall since Patrick Kane in 2007. I could be wrong on that, Hockey Highlights. If you want to double check me on that, you are welcome to double check me on that. But yeah, I don't think a right winger's gone number one in the NHL draft since 2007 when Patrick Kane. If I'm wrong, please double check me. Nail Yakupov went number one. I think Yakupov was a right winger. Yakupov was the 2012 draft, but some had him at left wing, others had him at right wing. I think he was a right winger, though. I think Nail Yakupov. Yeah, and the fact that I remember that should tell you how disastrous Yakupov's NHL career was, but we don't want to steal Maddox Schultz's spotlight by mentioning Nail Yakupov. That's just wrong. For all the hard work Maddox has done to get to this moment with the WHL draft, it's just wrong for me to mention Nail Yakupov on the live stream. It's moral. It's immoral on my behalf. And do we have a Maddox Schultz update? Because anything besides Maddox Schultz, I'm going to be shocked. Like, I'm genuinely going to be shocked if Maddox Schultz does not go number one. Okay, the pick is in. All right, so number one is in. I think the commissioner just said Maddox Schultz, if I'm lip reading the commissioner. And what do we have here? It is Maddox Schultz. No surprise at number one. Maddox Schultz, easily an A+ grade, best player in this draft. probably the number one. I would say right now he is the front runner to go number one in 2028 because the hype this guy's generated, it's on par with both. Crap. I gotta reload my site. Sorry, guys. That was not my intention. That was not my intention, but you know, sometimes things happen. But yeah, Maddox Schultz, the hype this guy has generated. Okay. Let me just set this back up here. I got disconnected for a second, and I probably lost an audience member. But yeah, looking at this, Maddox Schultz is going to go number one in 2028. Yeah, so the assistant GM's talking about how he's a great person, great hockey player, and the character really checked out. The GM called him a special player, too. And look, if you guys want the full analysis, download the Victory Plus app. The analysts on Victory Plus know way more about these prospects than I do. And yes, Connor Bedard is making a cameo on Victory Plus. He's congratulating Maddox Schultz for getting drafted. Very classy gesture by the Blackhawks center, Connor Bedard. Giving back to the WHL. And, you know, Connor Bedard, he already has Maddox Schultz on his radar. I mean, right now, the dream for Connor Bedard would be to get both Gavin McKenna and Maddox Schultz. That's not going to happen. Well, technically, it could happen. Because the Blackhawks, if they won the McKenna lottery, they'd have 2 and 5 years. They wouldn't be eligible for DuPont, but they would be eligible for Schultz in 2028. So technically Maddox Schultz could go. Maddox Schultz could technically go number one in 2028. The Blackhawks could technically get both players if they won the 2026 and 2028 lottery, because you can only win the lottery twice in 5 years. So if the Blackhawks win the McKenna lottery, they lose out on Landon DuPont, but they would be eligible for Maddox Schultz. So the Blackhawks, in theory, they could get both players. They could get the best player since Maddox. They could get the best Regina Pat since Bedard, and they could get McKenna. So in theory, they could do that. I'm not saying they will do that, but I mean, I'm sorry, but the guy that Mike Green is way better than this analyst. Mike Green was like the Daniel Jeremiah, the Dane Brugler of Western Hockey League. And this draft stream just kind of sucks without him. The new guy isn't a bad analyst, but he's not on Green's level. You know? So go to Victory Plus, download the app if you want the live unfiltered coverage. Play all the audio. I'm gonna get a copyright strike if I play all the audio. Go to Victory Plus. I am gonna try to promote Victory Plus in the live in the 2025 West. You know what? I'm better off not mentioning Victory Plus because it's gonna look less authentic on my behalf. But yeah, Edmonton Oil Kings are on the clock. No surprises at number. We gotta wait to see what's gonna happen at number 2 here. But yeah. I'm going to try to get a leak. If we get anything from the Edmonton Oil Kings on social media, I'm going to try to get that information for our audience. Because the sooner I get that information, the sooner I can get out of here, the sooner I can watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. And as a Dallas Stars fan, the fact that I have to sacrifice that game for this hockey draft does kind of annoy me to a degree, but these draft streams, they get a ton of viewers. I don't care if it's OHL or if it's NHL or if it's WNBA. Whenever we do a draft stream, our freaking viewership launches like a rocket ship. It goes off like a rocket ship. And, you know, that's really the big thing I'm looking at here. And yes, Maddox Schultz went number 1. That was not a surprise. We kind of knew he was going to go number 1. And yeah, he has a 10 out of 10 in scoring, a 10 out of 10 in hockey IQ, 9 in skating, 9.5 in puck skills, 9.5 in playmaking, 8.5 in physicality, 8.5 in defense, an overall of 9.29 out of 10. I'm going to round that up to 9.3. Okay. So the Oil Kings took a defenseman at 2. Holden Walters. Okay. I do have to look some of these names up. Holden Walters is December 4th, 2010. He is a 2029 prospect. So, wow. Holden Walters, we got a 2028 and a 2029 prospect to start this draft. That is what I'm talking about, Western Hockey League. So this Western Hockey League run could continue because Holden Walters is already 6'2", 180 at the age of 14. So, and he's born in December. He's a Sagittarius. He's born in December. Any player born after September 15th, 2010 is not eligible for the 2028 NHL draft, meaning Walters is a 2029 prospect. So we do have a 2028 and a 2029 prospect to start things off. And this guy, he can kill the penalty, he can kill the power play. Who did he go to? Walters went to the Oil Kings at number 2. No trades so far, but Maddox Schultz number 1, Walters is number 2. I am going to give the Oil Kings an A+ here because they may have gotten the number 1 pick in 2029. It's too early to go jump that far out, but if you're already 6'2", 180 at age 14, you're probably going to be 6'5", 210, maybe 220 by the time you're draft eligible. And he'll be a rookie in limited action next year. Gavin McKenna was drafted when he was 14 in the 2022 WHL draft, and McKenna's playing for the WHL championship, and he's going to be the number 1 pick in next year's draft. So, Wolves, believe me, Edmonton knows what they're doing. Michael Chang, their GM, he knows what the hell he's doing. And Liam Pugh going. Shifty Facts. I have not heard of Liam Pugh. Shifty Facts. Can you tell me more about Liam Pugh? I don't even know who half these prospects are. I know who Schultz is. I don't know who anyone else is. So if you can tell me who these players are, what they do, if you even want to come on this show and educate me, you're welcome to. But yeah, Liam Pugh. I'll look up Liam Pugh right now. I did just update the pick here for Holden Walters at 2. But Liam Pugh, I'm going to look that name up right now, actually, because the fact that you guys are teaching me stuff just shows you. Liam Pugh, Langley forward, 50 points. Okay, I would say he's going to go somewhere in the top 10. Maybe he goes in the top. I'd say he goes in the back end of round 1, but he could go as early as the top 10. I don't think he's going to go number 3. But he's the brother of Landon Pugh. I don't know if Landon Pugh's any good. Like, can somebody give me an update on the Pugh family? That'd be great. But yeah. And the Regina Pats have just moved up to number 3. The Kelowna Rockets, they are going to get a Kelowna Rockets are going to get a first round 26, a 2026 first, and a 2027 first. So the Regina Pats are giving up 2 first rounders to move up to 3. Wow. Okay, that is a big deal. And, you know, I'm only grading the first round, but yeah, I would think so. We already have the number 1 pick, and that's what I love. I love drafts where we know who the number 1 pick is going to be. So we have 4 now. I would think if Holden Walters is only that young, he's going to have so much time to fill out his frame. And it's just hard for me to believe he's not going to go number 1. Now, somebody else in hockey could end up making me look like a dumbass. I'm not as confident on Walters going number 1 in 2029 as some of these other players, but, you know, I think Walters, with that frame and his age, I would think as long as he doesn't screw up, he's going to be the guy. But yeah, the Regina Pats do have the number 3 pick now. We don't know who they're going to take yet, but I'm going to find out very shortly. They gave up 2 first-round picks to move ahead of an expansion team. So they better have gotten their guy. You know, they better have gotten their guy. Yeah, but Walters is probably the number 1 pick in 2029. And the fact that we already have that intel is amazing. This is why the Western Hockey League is absolutely destroying the other 3 Canadian drafts, because they have guys ahead of the draft. They have guys entering the WHL 3 years before they're draft eligible. The other leagues only get 2 years to develop their guys. And you can be an exceptional status player in the WHL if you're 14, like Gav McKenna or so I think teams are just looking at the WHL and saying they're the go-to league for Canadian hockey now. It's just hard to argue against that. And for all the people on HF boards who said 2029 was a horrible all-time weak NHL draft, Holden Walters is probably going to go number 1. Because a player that big at that age, as long as they fill out their frame and play at a high level and they don't completely suck in the Western Hockey League, I would think that's going to be a top 5 pick in that draft at the very worst. Do we have a number 3 pick in for Regina? It looks like Liam Pugh went number 3. Did he? Yes, he did. Liam Pugh did go number 3. I think Regina traded up for Liam Pugh. Liam Pugh, I don't know if is he a center? I'm going to check the chat room. I'm sure the people in the chat room are actually going to tell me. Ethan when's the 3rd overall pick? 3rd overall pick just came in, and it is Liam Pugh. Thank you, Shifty Facts, for telling me about Liam Pugh. And Liam Pugh birthday is February 6th, so he's 2028. Liam Pugh is 2028. Pugh and Schultz, yes. Pugh and Schultz are going to be the number. Yeah, they're going to be is Pugh a winger or a center? That's what I'd like to know. Is Pugh? I'm just curious. Is Pugh a winger or is he a center? Because if he's a center, he's going to be on the second line behind him. It's going to be the Dylan Strome, Connor McDavid of the WHL potentially. Well, no, Schultz is a right winger. So Pugh would play center. But they're going to be line mates, Pugh and Schultz, yes. Ew, Pugh and Schultz. Yes, Ethan. I know, that sounds very disgusting, but I got to give Shifty Facts credit. Shifty Facts came more prepared into this thing than I did, and I got to give him credit. I got to give our commenter a shout-out, because Liam Pugh's going to probably be... You're going to have Liam Pugh and you're going to have Maddox Schultz for the next 3 years. I think that's a good decision because Pugh's the 3rd guy. The rest of these guys, I'm going to have no idea if they become anything significant, but yeah, what else do you know, Crystal Ball? He is going to be a stud. Who would you take it for? Maybe I'll just shut my mouth and type the pick in. Get the write-up for the website updated, because you do deserve some respect for that. $20 assists. I almost typed 30 assists. Yeah, Shifty Facts. Do you think we're going to see a Nate McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin scenario with Schultz and Pugh? Because I could honestly see it. If both Pugh and Schultz reach their ceilings, you are looking at a scenario where 2 teammates end up going in the top 3. It happened in 2013 with Nate McKinnon and Jonathan Drouin. But could we see both guys go number 1 and number 2 in 2028? If both guys pan out, I think that is a possibility. But I think it's also a little too early to have that discussion. And Sarnia had Nail Yakupov and Alex Galchenyuk both go 1-3 in 2012 before. So it happened. So in the first two drafts I covered, oh yeah, and Dylan Strome and Connor McDavid both went 1-3 in 2015 too on the Erie Otters. So it's happened. There have been 3 drafts where 2 teammates went 1-3 in the draft. We've never had an NHL draft where teammates went 1-2, junior hockey teammates. But there were 3 drafts from 2012 to 2015 where 2 junior hockey teammates went in the top 3. I think we could see Pugh and McKinnon potentially. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, okay, so Pentagon, is Pentagon making this pick? I agree, he's going to be a stud, but yeah, it's time to get number 4 up. It's time to get number 4 up. I'm gonna reload the site and get number 4 up, because Pentagon V's were a powerhouse in the BCHL. They're joining the Western Hockey League. But yeah, we are looking at the Regina Pats potentially having number 1 and number 2 in 2028 if they hit on both these picks. But yeah, who are the Pentagon V's picking? Or they're just showing the expansion draft. I don't think they revealed the pick, but maybe they've traded the pick. Did Kelowna move up to number 4 in the draft? Like, are the V's playing the long game and just collecting draft capital? I'm genuinely curious to see what's happening here, but the only reason I'm going on social media is because the WHL Draft stream is kind of slow. It's a good show, but it's also kind of slow. I guess I do have time to give you guys 3A plus grades. I think Holden Walters and Liam Pugh, those are probably the 3 studs of this draft, and the drop-off probably is going to begin at number 4. Pentagon has not made a trade. We have no problem, Steel Flyers. I love your show. You and Ron do Lance, Ron, you and Lance do fantastic work over at Steel Flyers. So I am happy to retweet your shows anytime. You don't even have to give me anything in return, but you're cool in the sense that if I do retweet your content enough, you will do something nice for me, whether it's a shout out. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, Pentagon V's, honestly, Regina's smart because they screwed an expansion team out of Liam Pugh. But I think Kelowna would have taken Liam if they hadn't given up such an offer. And now the Kelowna Rockets have a ton of draft capital next year and the year after. So they can play a long game. Or they can move up if there's a player they love in the next draft. And the Pentagon V's, what are they going to do here? I can hear what the commissioner's saying if I take my ear and lean in towards my cell phone. But I look really goofy if I do that. Thor Lifton. His first name is Thor, like the superhero. First prospect I've ever scouted with the first name Thor. Never scouted an NFL, NBA, MLB, MLS prospect with the first name Thor. This is the very first Thor I've scouted, so I'm probably going to have to give this an A+ because Thor is the name of a Marvel superhero, 6'1", 161. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. He's also born in December. So Thor Lifferton could end up going number 1 in 2029. So we already have 2 guys who are eligible for 2028 who are teammates, and we have 2 defensemen who are eligible for 2029. That's awesome. That is freaking awesome, because it makes 2029, all the people on HF boards who said, oh, the 2029 NHL draft's going to suck. You guys look like a bunch of dumbasses right now, with Wolters and Lifferton both being eligible for the 2029 NHL draft. That's going to be a very good defenseman draft. But we said the same thing last year when DuPont and Cripps both went in the top 2. And then we saw guys in the OHL and the USHL, and Alexis Joseph, who's going to go number 1 in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. And now we realize 2027 is going to be forward heavy. But it's also going to have some good defensemen from the Western Hockey League. But yeah, Wolters and Lifferton are probably the 2 guys who are going to be the front runners to go number 1 at least. And I love the fact that he's wearing an old Minnesota North Stars jersey. I think that is amazing. I love the tribute to the Minnesota North Stars. All right, so Thor Lifferton. Yeah, so Thor Lifferton, that's going to be another A+. I know the A+s are kind of generic. They're kind of bland, but, you know, I just cannot say no to Thor. That is an awesome first name. And he's 2029, and he's from Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, he's from Cleveland, so, yeah, Cleveland's getting some serious talent. Cleveland had the, there was a player from Ohio that went 6th in the USHL draft that had the most points, would have gone number 1 if tenders were not allowed, and now Cleveland actually might be the number 1 pick in the 2029 NHL draft. So we're getting a lot of information that's very helpful when it comes to, yeah, but Thor Lifferton, because I did not think Lifferton would go as early as he did. And, you know, Lifferton and Wolters are probably already. I did not think there would be anybody in the 2029 NHL draft in this year's Western Hockey League draft. I severely underestimated that. And, you know, there might be guys in next year's WHL draft that are better than Lifferton. So we really can't have. It really is too damn early to have the 2029 conversation, because there's going to be guys in next year's Western Hockey League draft that might be better than Lifferton and Wohlers. You know, they're just that's just the nature of the Western Hockey League draft. I've been covering every WHL, Ontario Hockey League, and Quebec Major Junior Hockey League and USHL draft first round since 2019. I've studied enough of these to know that with the rise of these younger players in the Western Hockey League is just going to have a monopoly on all the other leagues when it comes to the NHL draft. I mean, that's where we're at. Connor Bedard, 2023, Gavin McKenna, 2026, Landon DuPont, 2027, Maddox Schultz, 2028, and then maybe one of these defensemen in 2029. The WHL is starting to establish a monopoly. Like, I noticed it a few years ago. I didn't want to say anything, but now it's just become very obvious they're the go-to league for talent in Canada now. OHL's still good, but I would consider the Western Hockey League the premier league now for talent in Canada. So, yeah, I mean, the Pentagon Vs. Yeah, player from Cleveland gets drafted by Pentagon. I'll like that tweet. But yeah, um, we'll refresh the page here. We'll stop showing the comments. I do appreciate all the comments, guys, but I have to hide some comments and get back to the draft stream. Okay. So yeah, 98 viewers. I know he's gonna be a stud, Shifty Facts. I just can't show your comments. It's like we got so many picks. I gotta refresh the page. Only way I can refresh the page is by clicking the refresh button. I have to refresh the page, and by the time I refresh the page, the 5th pick's gonna be ready to go. Damn. Damn, I X'd out on me. Restream X'd out on me again. I am pissed about that. I'm very competitive. I'm a perfectionist as well, so I do not like when streams X out on me. That irritates me to the point where I get angry. But yeah, I'm going to try to keep my emotions in check. The fact that we have this many viewers on our show is why I'm keeping my emotions in check. It's why I'm on my best behavior. And frankly, it's the only reason I'm on my best behavior. I'm just very happy we have this many viewers. But yeah, our drafts, I think if we did a lacrosse draft, it would get 100 viewers. I just think that's where we're at. This is our niche. This is our brand, Draft Utopia, the Utopia of sports. I think if we did a lacrosse draft and we had Jimmy Dickin or Mitch Pabst or some of Jason Bannell's friends, I let them break down the picks and I just set up the webpage and let them go at it as lacrosse coaches. I actually think that would get 100, maybe 200, maybe 300 viewers. I don't know if they'd be interested in that, but I honestly think that's how big the Utopia of sports is coming. And when I started Draft Utopia, my goal was to make Draft Utopia the Walmart of draft websites. The Walmart of draft websites. Because we'd be the only draft site that covered all of the professional sports leagues drafts. And that would piss off everyone else because essentially we'd create a monopoly over all the other companies that cover the draft. That was the goal. That was the idea when I conceived this company back in 2012. I'm glad we're finally getting the respect we deserve. But yeah, have the Everett Silvertips made a damn pick yet? I know with the Kamloops Blazers first round pick, they took Landon DuPont last year. Did they take anybody with this pick at number 5? Because these picks are just flying in, but we are caught up. Okay, yeah, the picks, not only is the pick in, they already have the director of scouting on. So yeah, can I push? Yes, I can. I can push the rewind button on my cell phone if I miss a pick. So I can go at my own pace and I can push the rewind button because I did not know that was an ability I had. And R. Nickel. I do not know his first name. R. Nickel Hockey. I'm going to type R. Nickel Hockey. Reed Nickel. And Reed Nickel is a 2028 player. And Reed Nickel, 6'2", 183. He is a forward. Shoots left shot. I don't know if he's a sniper or a winger, but yeah, he is a forward. Reed's already 6'1", 183. Like Liam Pugh, Maddox Schultz, he is playing up to height. So this is an HF boards thread for the 2028 NHL draft. So that's very helpful. The fact that Nickel, Pugh, and Schultz are pretty much the top 3 for 28, that is very freaking helpful. So this is going to be another A+. The only question is what position is he? Is he a center or is he a winger? That's all I'd like to know. He's listed as a forward, and this just irritates me when they don't list the player positions. When they just list forward and they don't list center or winger, or can he play both? If he can play both, I don't have a problem with him being a forward. Okay, so I'm no scout, but okay, so yeah, this guy, his brother Kale's on my list though. So Kale could be a 2020 so Kale potentially could be a 2030 pick. So, okay, cool. That does help us. Any help we can get. Powerful forward with scoring ability. I just wish we had a exact position for him. 17 goals. I just wish we had an exact position for him. Wow. So Reed Nichols is probably going to be 2028. And Steel Flyers just retweeted our WHL draft. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. That is very much appreciated. I'll retweet that back because anytime we get publicity, I appreciate that. So yeah, feel free to retweet the show. And yeah, maybe I should start promoting other channels before I promote my own, because if I keep giving them value, they'll give me a shout out back. They'll give me some love back. Yes. So maybe that's the thought process. Maybe other people will just be happy I haven't promoted their show and it won't give me anything back. But if you keep giving enough, you'll receive. That's the lesson on giving. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead out on a limb and say Reed Nickel, and that's nickel without an H in it. So or K, it's Nicol, Nicole without an E. Nicole without an E. That's a very corny way to describe the situation. But yeah, Reed Nickel, his brother Caden could be number 1 in 2030. So yeah, this is going to be another A+ because they're already talking about this guy in 2028 on HF boards. And look, if you guys want to stay ahead of these hockey leagues, go to HF boards, hockey forum boards. They'll give you can read their message boards. They will give you insight onto future draft classes. And Reed Nickel is going to be one of these guys that, I guarantee you somebody on this list will be on a future Steel Flyers episode. I don't know who yet. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not Nostradamus. I might look like Nostradamus' adopted nephew. I'm not Nostradamus. Okay, so yeah, but I guarantee you somebody who gets picked tonight will be on a show, will be on a Steel Flyers show in the next 3 years. I'm not going to say who. That would ruin the fun for everybody. But yeah, Reed Nickel's probably going to be Reed Nickel. And look, here's what's going to happen in the Western Hockey League. We're probably going to see Medicine Hat win it this year, and then they're going to win it again next year before McKenna turns pro. Everett Silvertips will make the WHL Cup, and they'll probably lose to Medicine Hat. But they'll have their moment in 2027, and they'll probably end up playing Regina. Because Regina is going to make at least one WHL Cup. They may not make 2, but they're going to get to at least 1. And if they don't, then they just wasted all that draft capital. But hey, Halifax Mooseheads gave up 3 number 1s for Nate McKinnon. They won the QMHL Cup and the Memorial Cup. Best return. If you win the Memorial Cup, 3 first-round picks is worth it to get a player like Nate McKinnon at 1. And he won a Stanley Cup with the Avs too. So I'm just saying that is something to keep an eye on. I'll try to get a Reed Nickel update, but yeah, his brother is in the 2030 NHL draft. That's how they're already talking about his brother on HF boards. They're saying, no, they're not giving you they're not going to give you his brother's scouting report, but they're already talking about him on the forums. That should tell you something. His brother might be in the 2030. His brother's going to be in the 2030 draft, but it's too early to talk that. It's way too freaking early. You mean you got to let these kids develop and have fun, have lives. But yeah, Reed Nickel. Yeah, I'm trying to get as much information here. There's a lot of analytics with and look, they've sort of cut out. I don't know if they're just having commercials or whatever they're airing on Victory Plus, but yeah. Yeah, so 2027 and 2028 are going to be forward heavy, although 2027 is going to have DuPont and Cripps. 2029 looks like it's going to be we're going to see a defenseman go 1 and 2. So all of a sudden, everyone who said 2029 sucks, yeah, you guys are idiots. Not saying our audience is idiots. Our audience is very smart, but the people on HF boards who are saying the 2029, 2030 NHL drafts are going to be horrible, you guys, the people that posted that, this is why you don't evaluate a draft class 5 years out. So much can change. So much can change over the length and the time span of that said draft class, you know? Yeah. Yeah, and I'll pull up the HF boards thread on Reed Nickel again, because his brother is going to be his brother's going to be eligible in 2030 or 2031, but we're not going to. And look, the Aginlas, you had Tej Aginla, and I think there's another Aginla in this year's WHL draft. But yeah, Hollowaychuk went number 6. So Hollowaychuk, we're getting info on Hollowaychuk. I'm behind on some of these picks. I really am trying my best here to. I'm trying my best here to get this stuff updated, but we're already behind on number 6. I'm trying. Honestly, I am trying to get information here. I think I'm just going to click the back button, go back to Google search engine, and type in what I want in the results. But Hollowaychuk went number 6. I can rewind on my phone. Louis Oscar Hollowaychuk, 5'9", 130, center, 2028 draft eligible, had 83 points as the captain of the St. George's School under-15 prep team. He's the captain. Captain's good. If this guy wasn't a captain, I would probably be a little bit skeptical about this pick. If the Vancouver Giants took him, it's a hometown guy right in their backyard. Guy they probably have a lot of intel on. So, yeah. Really good job. And, yeah, WHL has become the Premier League. There could be a player in the 2029 draft, in the 2026 or 2020 QMJHL draft, but right now it's too early to speculate on that. And I think the fact that these guys are both entering the WHL, both defensemen, I would say they're the front runners for 2029 right now. And that's the thing, you know. There we go. We'll X that out. You know what? We're just going to go in the Vancouver Giants social media. This is going way too slow. I do have to find a way to speed this up a little bit. Because I actually want to watch the Dallas Stars game at 9:30, but I'm going to have to mute it. I'm going to have to mute my television. Yeah, so Luis, that was the pick. I do like this pick here by Vancouver, hometown guy. And Luis Oscar is a full first name. Holloway Chuck, that is a cool last name. I do like that last name a lot. I don't know, but right now Luis, former captain, 5'9", in their backyard, probably the best player Vancouver could get at 6. So I can respect the thought process there. And what else do we have here? We do have number 7 in Wolitsky. So the Red Deer Rebels did pick at 7. They did keep number 7. And the Oil Kings are about to announce number 8. Christopher Kokoris. Connor Wolitsky. Nolan Wolitsky. I believe that is Nolan Wolitsky. I believe that's who the Red Deer Rebels took at 7. And he is a 6'3", 181-pound defender. Probably the top defender in 2027. And Edmonton, I think they took a defender at 8 as well. So Edmonton doubling up on the blue line with a 2028 and a 2029 prospect. Oil Kings, Oil Kings are going to have a great blue line in a few years with these two if they hit on both these top 8 picks. Oil Kings, they're going to have a great blue line. A lot of these teams, they're drafting well enough to create windows for competitive play down the road. Yeah, I'm loading a lot of content. I'll refresh the homepage. Just give me a second to because social media, the WHL draft is actually a few minutes ahead of some of the social media teams. And I'm trying my very best to stay ahead as possible. Okay, so we got the name here. I believe 66165. Kokoris. January 4th, 2010, shares the same birthday as my dad. And Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, also born on January 4th. I was born in the 10th, but yeah. Yale Hockey Academy. 6'6", Capricorn. Okay, yeah, money. Kokoris could end up being the top defender in 2028. And that's the thing, like, if he skates well, he's going to get pushed up due to his size. Kokoris could be a name to keep an eye on. And the Oil Kings, there's an outside possibility they end up with the number 1 defenseman in both 2028 and 2029. We'll see. All right, I'm going to reload the news ticker here. I'm not going to get the draft grades up because I'm just too far behind. I'll get the draft grades up after the WHL draft, but it's just, with all the picks flying in, I'm not going to have that type of time on my hands. So instead of just trying to be Mr. Perfect, let's adapt, let's have some fun, and I can get the draft grades up and then post that on Saturday's show before our guest comes on, because I only had time to get 2 of the grades up, and I think we're at the point in the WHL draft where I will stay on till 9:30, but I think we're at the point in the draft where I just need to focus on 1 pick at a time and let these teams have their moment to shine, because the picks are coming in much faster now. Do we have anything? Western Hockey League. Anna, my friend Anna on Facebook. WHL is the Western Hockey League. It is the Western Hockey League. There's 3 leagues in Canada. There's the there's the Ontario Hockey League, there's the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and then there's the Western Hockey League, which is everything outside of Ontario and Quebec. And all 3 Canadian leagues are branched out. So you get a certain player, the leagues are branched out, and the players in these leagues, in the United States Hockey League, they're another league, but the players in the United States Hockey League go to America. I've tried to explain this to Anna a few times. She said I needed to simplify it. She is correct, but I'm doing the best I can to explain it. Holy cow, we have 118 viewers. This is like... So I've already got my vocabulary for 2029 a little bit. I got a few players in 2029. Most of these guys are going to be 2028s, but Walters and Wolitsky are going to be 2029s. Not Wolitsky, dang it. Thor Lifferton and Holden Walters. And Thor Lifferton's from Cleveland, Ohio. So Cleveland could have a number 1 pick in 2029. There's going to be other players in Canada that get drafted over the next 2 years that may end up having a say if Walters or Lifferton slips up, which I am prepared for if that happens. But the next pick is, what do we have here? Oliviero. Oliviero went to Tri-City. I do not know. And the Wenatchee Wild are about to pick at 10. And if you want to learn about the WHL, go into the Victory Plus app. And if you live in Texas, you get the Stars games on that app too. But yeah, Ben Oliviero is going. Kalen Miles is going to go 9. Kalen Miles is going to go 10th. Ben Oliviero is going to go. Yes, so I would say both these guys are centers. 5'9". He could end up moving the wing. But yeah, Ben Oliviero, I'm going to say Ben Oliviero is a center. At least I think Oliviero is probably a center in the WHL, but a winger in the NHL. If I had to guess, it just depends on how much he grows. But the WHL is Western Hockey League. Okay. I am trying. I mean, 117. I'm guessing someone left, but yeah, awesome stuff. There are some defensemen, but yeah, Wenatchee Wild. What do we have for the Wenatchee Wild? King Ranch. Who the heck is King Ranch? The sports historian of South Carolina. I'm following that person back because that is an awesome. The sports historian of South Carolina. That is an awesome description for a Twitter profile on X. Kalen Miles. So, Kalen Miles. Replace the D with an L, and we have our next guy. Yeah, I'm probably going to post draft grades until 9:30, and then I will, because these picks are just flying in. And, yeah, Mateo Ferreira is 2029. Good. So we have 3 different draft. 3. And that's the year Miro's a free agent. So if the Dallas Stars end up in the top 3 in 2029, they somehow have a ton of injuries and they finish with the worst record in the league, Jim Nill can just get another defenseman and reload. And you guys are in trouble. Goals to win a Stanley Cup first and foremost, but if for some unforeseen circumstance the Dallas Stars have a top 3 pick in 2029, the rest of the NHL's in trouble. I mean that quite literally. That's not a threat. That is literally the reality of the situation. Because you have 3 2029 defensemen already in this WHL draft. Doesn't mean they'll be the best players, but considering the WHL has the number 1 pick in 26, 27, and 28, the Western Hockey League's established a monopoly on Canada. That is the sad reality, folks. You don't have to. But yeah, so first 11 picks are in. I'm going to reload the page. It doesn't mean those guys will be the first 3 picks in the draft, but yeah, 2029 is going to be a good defensive draft. 2027 it's going to be good. 2026, I think 28 and 27 were the most forward heavy of the next 5 NHL drafts. I would guess that 27 and 28 are probably the most forward heavy. 25, 26, and 29 are the most defensive heavy. But if you're Vancouver or Colorado and Quinn Hughes doesn't want to re-sign, reload right now. I feel like we're entering a golden age for hockey, at least in the Western part of Canada. But yeah. Yeah, and Gavin McKenna's interview, this is the first Gavin McKenna interview I've seen. I'll turn the volume down, okay? I don't want the Gavin McKenna interview to buffer, okay? All right, you win, Victory Plus. I'll turn the volume off. I will turn the volume off. I'll be a grown-up. I don't want my cell phone getting buffered, okay? You guys win. I'm not going to fight you. But yeah, I'm not going to do great. I did grades for everybody in the top 5. I just think this is awesome that, you know, Brandon Wheat Kings are up at number 12. We're finally going to find out who the Brandon Wheat Kings select here. Cruz Jim. Yeah, so Cruise Gym 2028. Cruise Gym went number 1. I'll post draft grades. I think we'll do a show next week. I don't know, because we're having a guest on Saturday. I can give you. I think what we'll do is we'll have the NHL draft stuff streamed, and then the first hour we'll give you guys updates. But yeah. And if the WHL draft ends before 9 p.m., I'll get more grades up, more write-ups done. But right now I just don't know if I can, because I actually am making an honest effort to have everything updated by 9:30. Crosby Matichuk, the brother of Denton Matichuk. So he is the younger brother of Denton Matichuk. Denton Matichuk was a first round pick in 2022. There's going to be good defensemen in I would say the next 5 NHL drafts. There's going to be at least one or two first round defensemen, maybe more. But Crosby Matichuk's going to be a first round defenseman. And I'm guessing he was named after Sidney Crosby because his first name is Crosby. I'm guessing his parents, he was born in 2010. So I'm guessing, and his family's from Manitoba. So he's born in Manitoba. So he's probably named after Sidney Crosby. But that's insane. Denton Matichuk's younger brother was named after Sidney Crosby. That's insane. Yeah, so there haven't been any trades outside of the one at number 3. I think this will be relatively easy to work with. There's still 13 picks in. I will try to get number 6 up now. Vancouver's had a good draft. I mean, Luis Oscar Holloway and Crosby Matichuk, Denton's younger brother. That's a good draft for the Vancouver Giants. They did a good job. I mean, but that's the thing. That's the thing I've noticed. And with the WHL games being on YouTube more frequently, I'll get the write-ups posted. But yeah. Tegan Bouchard. Okay, so I answered some questions here. Mason James, when is the next pick? We're already on pick 14. These picks are flying in. And I've got 6 grades typed. I've got 6 of the 23 grades typed. And I also got 12. Yes, I've got 12 of the first round picks in my 2025 NHL mock draft typed. I pulled an all-nighter. I hardly got any sleep. And I got 12 of the 32 picks for the first round already finalized. And look, if we hear rumors about any teams in the top 12, we will adjust our top 12. But, we're at the point. It used to be back in the day, an NHL team would promote a player on their league website and they'd kind of tip their hand. But, NHL teams have figured out that people like me who had accurate mock drafts for 6, 7 years in a row, 5, 6, 7 years, know that. So they're adapting and saying, look, we're not going to leak our pick. Go ahead and guess who we're going to take. That's basically what the leagues are doing now, and they're smart for doing that. They're smart for adapting. So the Swift Current Broncos have just made a trade with the Brandon Wheat Kings, and the Swift Current Broncos get some win now players, and Swift Current gets Lenorno 15, 2025 second, 2027 third, 2026 third, 2028 sixth. So, Swift Current Broncos are on the clock at 15. I don't think Swift Current had a first round pick. So we'll go all the way down to Swift Current at 15. The Brandon Wheat Kings at 15. We'll go all the way down to that pick. Yeah, I will I'll stay on this live stream until 9 9:30. I do want to watch the Dallas game. If Dallas Winnipeg is a blowout, do we have any and I do not have any hockey or basketball updates. I said I'd get the scoreboard out if we had some updates. But yeah, right now, I would say, okay, we do have an update. The Celtics lead the Knicks 66-50. 66-50 Celtics lead the Knicks in game 2. That's a game 2 update. That's in the third quarter. I believe that's on TNT. I think the NBA games are on TNT and the other games are on ESPN. I did pick Toronto to beat Florida. Toronto and Florida are tied at 2 in the second period. And this is a must-win game for Florida with Ekblad back, because if Toronto wins this game and goes up 2-0, my prediction of Toronto beating Florida has a very realistic chance of happening. Because Toronto would have home ice. They'd have a 2-0 series lead. Swift Current hasn't made their pick yet. I am going to go back to the Red Deer Rebels and see if we can copy and paste their pick, Nolan Wolitsky, top defenseman in 2028, before the clock runs out and before they turn a pick in. And I think what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste some of the players that got picked. I'm not going to worry about the grades right now. I can research that after. Just get as much of this filled out as possible. Kokoris went to Edmonton at 8. And Swift Current hasn't officially made their pick yet at 15. So there is... Okay, it does sound like they are going to go back to the commissioner. But yeah, I'm trying my very best to get as much content posted in this time window as possible. 116, holy crap. You guys are awesome. Our audience is awesome. Ben Oliviero, Tri-City, Wenatchee Wild. The Wenatchee Wild took at 10 Kalen Miles, center in 2028. But yeah, there's 3 centers draft. There's 3 defensemen draft eligible for 2029. I don't think Nero's going to walk. I think he's going to take less money to keep the core around, but we'll see. All right, so the Kamloops Blazers, Kamloops at 11, they took Mateo Ferreira, 2029 prospect. Yeah, and Kamloops has 11, and they have 14. I'm not posting grades yet. I'm basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get as many of these picks that have already been posted on the news ticker posted below on the site. So by the time Swift Current does make their pick, Miro will miss game 1 against Winnipeg. I am sad about that, but yeah. LA Galaxy are going to be winless heading into their rematch against the New York Red Bulls. That's kind of sad because LA Galaxy and the Red Bulls played for the MLS Cup last year. So the fact that the defending MLS Cup champions are winless heading into a rematch with their opponent from last year's championship, that does not look good for the MLS. But hey, the Galaxy, if they actually apply themselves and scout college soccer players the way I do, they can get a good player with a top draft pick. I don't think they're going to go that route. They probably are more likely to move the pick for allocation money. But yeah, that's another conversation for another day. Crosby Matichuk is the younger brother of Devin Matichuk. He's going to be in 2020. He's going to be in the 2028 draft. Okay, I think we're back. And they might not be back yet. They might just be showing highlights because I think the Western Hockey League wants this draft to end at 10. I do. I think they want this draft to end at 10. They don't want it to end too early. They want the first round to go till 10 and then probably just, whatever. But yeah, most of the stars have been picked. Most of the star players have already been picked. And the write-ups for most of the big-time stars have pretty much the big-time stars in this draft, the future picks, most of them have pretty much been finalized. And I'll go back and study some of these players when I get a chance. Yeah, I think we're at a point where, we could start looking at number 7, maybe. Nolan Wolatiski. I just don't have the patience to and now the WHL knows. They right when I'm about ready to jump into number 7, the WHL knows. So they're like, you know what, we got to shorten these commercials. 53 and 48 points. I'll turn the lights on because it is kind of hard to see. But yeah, 48 points in 29 games, 53 points. Those are very good numbers for a defenseman. I'm going to give that an A+. Does that mean he'll be an A+ player in the WHL? No. But, So Swift Current still has not made their pick yet. Philadelphia leads Tampa Bay by a touchdown. The Eagles lead the Buccaneers by a touchdown in the 7th inning. 7-0 Phillies over the Rays. Do we have another trade? Holy crap. Really? Another freaking trade. And Swift Current now owns 22. So we've had 2 trades over 1 pick. And this 22nd pick that's being traded to the Swift Current Broncos is the Medicine Hat Tigers first round pick that they traded away. Yeah, Kane Martin Newick. Yeah, I've got first 15 up. I am going to turn the lights on because it's hard to see. It's hard to see anything here. I do have a wrestling section on Draft Utopia, but yeah. We're at the point in the draft where we have 15 picks in. Celtics are about to take a 12-point lead heading into the 4th quarter. to see if there's anything worth snacking on after the draft. I don't know. We'll probably have some spinner. I mean, I am hungry. This is the first time I've been hungry during a draft stream, but I'm not going to eat. So we're waiting for Prince Albert. Prince Albert at 16. Okay, so I can eat cheese and crackers or I can eat spin art. I was going to save these cheese and crackers for when Dallas won a series, but right now I just feel like, and that's it. So can I have a ginger ale and have some cheese and crackers. This is all I can eat until the draft is over, because my stomach's growling. But yeah, we do not have the 16th pick in yet. I could work on some draft write-ups. I could finish my number 7 pick. We do have the pick is in, so we do have number 16, Prince Albert. Athens Shingoose. High compete level, high character. Athens Shingoose. That's probably going to be an A+. Shingoose. Because Shingoose, high character, high compete level. To get a player that good at 16, that's a really good bargain. But yeah, we're at the point in the draft where, the players that are bargains are flying off the board. And I think this draft will be over by 10, but they want to have it so that, it's over by 9:30 or 10 at the latest. Yeah, and I'll set up the show on TalkShoe. I have not gotten any sleep because I'm trying to set up a mock draft, and I'm also trying to set up a Yeah, because all the defensemen in this draft, are guys that and Brian's saying so we're just waiting on I've got Edmonton Oil Kings right up ready to go for number 8. But basically what we're doing is we're waiting for Prince George. We're waiting for the Prince George Cougars to make their pick at 16. Are they going to go to the commissioner? Because I honestly, it's just about anticipating when they're going to pivot. That's really the key to this draft. And study 6'6", 165. You know what? Let's turn all the lights on. We got to turn all the lights on because there we go. Colin Baker. Cohen Baker. And that's going to be an A+ pick. But 5'7", 134. I don't know if I'd get. Yeah, he's uber fast, but Yeah. Their pick. No, Moose Jaw's about to make their pick. Elk. K. Elky. Cash Elk. Yeah, I'm trying my very best here. I do feel a lot better now after eating those crackers. I know it's not the healthiest thing. Connor Gruthius. So he is a sports reporter at the University of Missouri. Very cool. Very, very cool, Connor. I mean, this WHL draft's been pretty good. Picks are flying in. They're still interviewing the GMs like last year. I just miss Taylor Green's insight. You know, Taylor Green, he was a former Western Hockey League player. And then he took what he learned and was able to apply it and provide Mel Kiper-esque analysis for the WHL draft. And because he majored in business, the Western Hockey League said, you know what? Even though this was fun, we got to put you in a bigger role so we can help you make more money. That's probably what happened. And to be fair to the guy replacing Taylor Green, he's done a pretty good job tonight, okay? The guy replacing Taylor Green has done well enough to where I'm not going to say he sucked because it's first time replacing him. And, you know, his analysis would have been a lot better than my analysis. And number two, I just, you know, the league realizes they probably have to use Taylor in a more advanced capacity with the business knowledge, the business background he got from college. They probably have to use him in a higher capacity, even if it means paying him more money. If Taylor Green wants to come on my podcast and explain, he's more open invite. But yeah, I'm just waiting for SDPN. They're covering the draft. Victoria Royals do have the 19th pick. And they have Keaton Barahoff, top defenseman in 2026. Go. Grishuk. Roan Greshuk, and Greshuk is a defender. And Greshuk is March 31st, 2010, Aries. He is a 2028 player. Remember, September 15th is the cutoff. September 15th is the cutoff date for the NHL draft. If a player is born, like with all the 2010 born players, this year you've got 2010 born players in the CHL. You've got 2009 born players in the USHL, 2009 born players in the OHL, and 2009 born players in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. So this is all we're getting for 2028 right now, is what the WHL draft provides us. That's it. And I'm just curious, did Tony email me when I and Toronto just took the lead on Florida. It's 3-2, 14-10 left in the third. I mean, right now, the way this draft is going, we've picks updated on the news ticker. There's 3 more picks to go. And I will, because right now, the way this is going, Toronto, Florida, the Dallas game, I think, starts at 9:50 or 10. So Toronto, Florida is going to end up overlapping into the Dallas-Winnipeg game. So I may just focus on this WHL draft and then watch the Stars game. Because I'm worried, because this is what happened when Toronto played Ottawa. The game went to overtime and it overlapped into the Dallas-Colorado games. I'm worried that's going to happen here. But yeah, the Seattle Thunderbirds have 21. Brooke Hale, defense. So is it Brock Hale or is it Brooke Hale? It's Brooke Hale. And there's an I in the name. Okay, that's probably why nothing showed up on Google. And he barely makes the 2028 cut. So yeah, barely. He makes the 2028 draft by 9 days. So he only made the 2028 draft by 9 days. Very close to the cutoff date. Hale nearly was the 4th defenseman in 2029, but I just think it's cool that we're in 2025 and we already have a glimpse of a few defensemen that are draft eligible. And I'm not saying they'll go number 1. It's just they're the first guys to pop up on our radar this early in the process. I was not expecting to see any 2029 guys in tonight's WHL draft, but now, next year, I got to be prepared for the possibility of some 2030 names in the 2026 WHL draft. I have to, with how the last few WHL drafts have gone. Because this draft was nuts. Not only do you have Maddox Schultz, but you had a few exceptional status defensemen. And that threw me off. That really threw me off because I wasn't expecting that to happen. I'm not going to blame the leagues for taking the player if they love the player, but that was not something I anticipated. And, you know, it does. From the Grand Peace Storm. I mean, that's the thing. Cohen Rotar is 2028. Is he a center, though, or is he a forward? They just list him as a forward. They don't say skills, breakaway, game-winning goal. We're gonna put him as a center. And I mean, a lot of these players are either centers or defensemen. So when I look at 2028, you're gonna have Maddox Schultz, the right winger, at number 1, but the rest of the draft is gonna be centers, defensemen. That's really what you're looking at. You're looking at Maddox Schultz being the gem of 2028, just like Landon Dupont, because Landon Dupont's in a forward-heavy draft, and Maddox Schultz is a right winger in a draft where it's going to be heavy at center, it's going to be heavy at defenseman. And when you have a right winger going number 1 in a draft where it's heavy at where it's very deep at defense and center, that raises the demand for the Maddox Schultz pick that much more. And you look at Dupont, another player. And right now, there's 3 players in 2029 that are defensemen, and they're all draft eligible in 2029. So that's the year Miro's a free agent. And you look, it's not just Miro in 2029. You have Quinn Hughes in 2027. You have Cale Makar in 2027. We're getting to a point now where a lot of the stars from the earlier NHL drafts I covered at Draft Utopia, they're going to be hitting the open market in a few years. And when those guys hit the open market, it's going to have a ripple effect on not just the NHL draft, but the free agency market as well. Any of those guys hit the open market. So Regina still has not picked at 23. One more pick. And once this pick comes in, I am going to find out when the Stars game is on, and then that'll be my window to get as many grades up as possible. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I will show you all the picks on the news ticker. That once we get show you all the picks in the news ticker, I'll throw this can of ginger ale away, and we'll show you all the picks in the news ticker one by one. We'll get as many draft grades up as we can before the Dallas game. I think we did a much better job with this draft than the thing is, the OHL draft worked out great because it was a Friday night. We didn't really have anything else going on. And so yeah, the WHL draft's now at the 3-hour mark. It went live, but yeah, I really am focused on getting okay, now we'll reload the web page. Because now you'll get all the information here. But yeah, I have great moment. A lot of players. That can go. Hopefully, I can. Like, if I can rewatch this off air on Victory Plus during the Stars game, that would make me so happy. It really would. It'd make me very watch this. Because that was the great thing with having the WHL draft on YouTube. You listen to what everyone was saying. And if I live stream a draft, I can't people or take additional picks. Logan Henry, 4, or is he a? They don't say. You kind of have to look at the player's stats, goals, assists, total, and make a verdict on that alone. You kind of have to make an educated guess. You kind of have to look at the goals and assist ratio and make a hypothesis. Look at the size, look at the film, and make a hypothesis. That's really, I'm going to say this guy's a winger because, well, he had more assists than goals, 16-14. This year he had more goals than assists, but he had over 100 penalty minutes, 5'10", 172. I'm going to say Logan Henry is a winger because we did not have a left winger this entire draft. We had variety of the draft, so we'll winger. But he might be a center. I wish they would specify that. I wish these leagues would do a little bit better job specifying whether this is a center, whether it's a two-way forward. Because that's the one thing I wish the WHL would do a better job in. And yeah, if you listen to the content, not just watch the videos, but you actually take the time to listen to the content, you'll learn something. Yeah, but that's really all there is to say about this. And we'll go with, is Logan Henry a left winger or center? You know what? We'll just say he's a set. I've got left winger here. Okay, so the left winger was correct. So Regina ended this draft with a left winger, a right winger, and a center who could all be top line players in 2028. So yeah, Regina had a great draft. I mean, all right, so I'll save this. And then we'll go through the news ticker here. I'm not sure how many live grades I'm going to get up, but we finally do have the news ticker complete. And 118 viewers. Thank you guys very much. And yeah, I'm turning my TV on. I just want to see when the puck's going to drop for the Dallas-Winnipeg game. Because I probably am going to watch the stream. I'm very happy. I cannot get a copyright strike, ESPN. I have to mute you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ESPN. I cannot risk it. It's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze. The juice is not worth a strike on my channel. So Dallas-Winnipeg drops at 9:52. So we essentially have 19 minutes, and I'm going to do the best I can in the next 19 minutes to show you a recap of all the picks in the news ticker. That way, at least if you don't get all my live grades, live reactions, at least you could say we saw, you go to the 2.5 hour mark, you can get all the picks. You get all the picks for the first round typed. And Toronto leads Florida 3-4. And this is exactly how game one went, with Toronto controlling the tempo and the momentum. And, you know, Toronto leads Florida right now. Okay, they did what they needed to do at home. They won both games at home. They took care of business on home ice. You know, Toronto, all of a sudden, Toronto has a chance to win the series now, because not only do they have home ice, and the player just grabbed the puck with his fist to make sure the puck didn't go in the net for Florida. That should be a penalty, in my opinion. I mean, the player grabbed the puck. I thought only the goalie could touch the puck with their hand, but he grabbed the puck to keep it from going in the net. And the ref just let him do it. The ref let Toronto get away with that. You know, that's fucking dirty. I'm sorry. That is dirty. Like, that is, and yeah, we do have all the, okay, perfect. Every write-up is done. The visuals are up. Everything looks great. Okay, 4:30 left in this game, and we also have some live draft grades we have to get to. But before I get to some of the live draft grades, yeah, but we have the first 7 picks updated. And the live show's over, but I do have the flexibility to rewind once I go off the air when it comes to making these picks. But yeah, Christopher Kokoris, number 8 overall. He had 37 points in 34 games with the Yale Hockey Academy. 6'6", 165. I'm probably going to give that an A+ because he's born on my dad's birthday. There's going to be a pick. There's going to be a team that slips up soon. Believe me, okay? That's how these drafts go. A lot of the teams do their due diligence and get the right player early in the draft. And then Kokoris. But yeah, Kokoris, 6'6", 165. I am going to throw this away. Yeah, because I wanted to do my laundry. The problem was I couldn't do my laundry because, I could not do my laundry because I have an NHL mock I'm working on. Okay, I'm swamped with content. I'm working on this WHL article. We may end up releasing it tomorrow. But yeah, and we'll have an NHL show for you guys on Saturday. The Prospect Dawn Twitter handle at the Prospect Dawn is coming on Saturday. We're going to debate. We're going to make NHL mock drafts. We're going to debate our mock drafts. We're going to have a mock draft debate. And yeah, I'm going to make, if Joey calls in, he can moderate the debate, I guess, assuming, and if Joey just wants to call in for the first hour, and then that's fine too. Like, I'm okay either way. Because as much as Joey enjoys tagging along for the ride with the show, we're at a point now where I feel like Joey still wants to help out with football, baseball, basketball content, but there is very little interest in hockey content unless it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. If it's the Stanley Cup playoffs and I send him notes, he'll contribute. But that's where he draws the line. And once you recognize that, you just have to accept that. Like, once you recognize that's it, you can either take or leave it. You can be a bitch and say it's a deal breaker, or you can take the hand you're dealt and try to do something with it. And I guess I'm choosing to take the hand I'm being dealt. It is what it is, okay? We're not going to sit here and say it's like a bunch of 40-year-old virgins. We're not doing that. Yeah, but that's the thing. Woll is filled in for Stolars, and he's actually done a good job. That's another reason I picked Toronto to win this series, because Woll began the year as the starter, but Stolars ended up taking the goalie job from him. And I actually think Toronto's blue line is so good, it doesn't really even matter which guy's starting at goalie. Whereas Florida, they're dependent on their goalie, they're dependent on Ekblad, and they're dependent on their stars from last year's Cup team. That's just the vibe I get with Florida. And that's nothing against Florida, but that's basically when I went through their offseason, I said, you know what, this is a good team, but they're not the same team as last year. And I think when I did my NHL predictions, I had Florida losing to Toronto in round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the preseason. And, well, Toronto is a 2-0 lead. So, no, Toronto being up 2-0 over Florida does not surprise me in the slightest. It surprises Toronto fans because they have a history of choking in the playoffs. And I bet it surprises Joey to a degree. Not a huge degree, but to a small degree, you're a little bit surprised. I'd say if I had to grade Joey's surprise meter, I'd say it's a 3 out of 10. Maybe a 4. But, Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup with the Blues. This is the very best blue line Morgan Rielly has ever had to work with as a former player. So, Workaholic. Yeah, he's a workaholic. Chorus. Look, Capricorns are workaholics. I can attest to that. My dad was one. I'm one. Joey's one. And if you look at athletes, you have the three most famous Capricorns in sports right now are Lamar Jackson, Ravens, Connor McDavid, Oilers, LeBron James, Caps, Lakers, Heat. Okay? That's all the scientific proof you need to know that the Caps are the goats. Okay? We're the goats. I'm sorry. When it comes to being workaholics, we're the goats. Not from a zodiac perspective, from a work ethic, discipline, talent perspective too. I'm sorry, we're the best. We're not trying to brag about it. It's just I just think it's partially true to a degree. But yeah, we're goal driven. We have things we want to do and we're hell bent on doing them. And I think the Earth signs are just the more disciplined signs in general. But yeah, we're not talking about zodiacs anymore. We gotta get I gotta copy some stuff here to my write-up on Kokoris at number 8. And did Toronto score again, or is that icing? But there's like under 30 seconds left. And you cannot rule a game over until it's over. Remember, Winnipeg scored on St. Louis with 1.6 seconds left. There's 33.7 seconds left in this game. And all right, so right now, Florida leads to. Toronto. I think Toronto's pissed about Florida beating them in 5 games. And the crazy thing is, Florida had 75 shot attempts. Toronto had 41. Florida has nearly doubled the shot attempts Toronto's had. But in Toronto, Florida has 9 more shots on goal than Toronto, but Toronto found the net more times. Toronto scored more times. But Bobrovsky went 16 for 20 against Toronto. And if Toronto can actually get an empty net goal, they make it a 2-0 lead. But hey, Vancouver blew a 2-0 series lead to Boston in 2011. Comeback can happen. But Panthers are pretty much going to have to win out in Florida, and they're going to have to steal a game in Toronto, whether that's game 5 or 7. That's literally the only path the Panthers have of winning this series. And if you're Toronto, you keep the momentum, you keep the foot on the gas pedal, and you keep the Panthers from building momentum. You do not get complacent just because you feel uncomfortable in their environment. You have to keep going. You have to keep going, because once you lose that first game, it just feels like, and Toronto's up 2-0. I had Toronto in the cup against Edmonton, so Toronto's up 2-0 against Florida. That's great for Toronto. Okay, so we got 7 minutes. Yeah, so Toronto's going to play Florida on TNT on Wednesday. Yeah, so I'll load this. You guys already saw the grades on the news ticker. And I'll give you guys the top 8, because nothing's changed in the top 8. I will have a grade that's not an A+. I just don't know when it's going to be. Because I'm looking at a lot of different variables here. And I do have all the picks listed. I think I have every pick listed except for 15. Okay, so we'll list those picks. You know what? We'll list those picks right now. We'll list those picks because I think we can list all those picks in 5 minutes. I do. I think you are going to be surprised by how many of those picks we can list and how quickly. Because if I just focused on the player, not the grade, if I just listed the player and I didn't do the grade, I think I could get this done very quickly. I really do. If I honestly just concentrated on the player and not the grade, not the height, I honestly think I'd get these write-ups done quicker. And that's the thing. Like like Bantle, he does a mock draft for our site, but there are no write-ups. He just lists the player. I could do that, and we'd be done just like that. It would be like a lightning round. I could do that. I just don't want to do that. Like, I want to go in detail with the pick and actually give a serious, intelligent player evaluation. But yeah, I could do that if it ever got to the point where I was required to do that, I probably could adapt. I just don't want to adapt, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I am trying though, because there are exactly 23 picks, so I am making an effort here to get everything updated. And Dallas, is Robertson playing? I don't know why, but yeah, because the Victoria Royals, they're doing the American national anthem, but I also believe they're going to do the Canadian anthem too. Is this Otter's moment to get the cup? Because right now, I really am trying to get the last 5 picks of this thing up. But, when I watched, as a fan of the Dallas Stars, I have mood swings. For example, if I'm doing a live stream and a team tees off on the Dallas Stars like Colorado did, my interest level in watching that game is at an all-time low because I know I have leverage over the NHL if my team doesn't win. I know I can basically choose to focus on an article I'm posting and filter everything else out. In I think game 4 of the first round was a Saturday after the NFL draft ended. Yeah, because the first 3 games were game 1 I think was I think game 1 of the series was a Saturday where Colorado won. And I think that was the week before the draft started. And then the second game was a Saturday. The second games were on weekdays, and the third games 1, 4, and 7 of the Dallas Colorado series were all on a Saturday. So the first game and second game 4 were very frustrating Saturday games because those were the 2 games where Colorado blew us out. And then in game 7, we just freaking it looked like we were going to get blown out again. Game 7 is just incredible. Game 7 was. It really was that incredible. So we'll see what happens. Because hockey is a team game. When you get to this part of the NHL season, hockey is a team game, whether you like it or not. Mark Scheifele is back. I'm not sure if Robertson's back. I guess we'll watch a little bit of this. Take a little break. Don't want to get complacent, but yeah, we'll take a little bit of a break, and then we'll get the names listed. And then we'll go through, because I'm not going to be focused. But I'll try. I'll definitely try to get through this, because I got to get through this, and then I got to get through the NHL mock draft, because I'm working on a 2025 NHL mock 7-rounder, and I've only got 12 write-ups done, and I'm angry about that. I'm angry with myself because I'm trying to do everything, and I'm not going to be able to do everything if I have to get the Western Hockey League draft up. We'll see what happens here. Dallas looks like they're on a breakaway. They're not, but I just think Winnipeg's blue line is weak. But they're physical. And when I say weak, I mean they're not a pushover, but outside of Morrissey and Pionk, who do they have that is a well-known defenseman? And I know they lead the NHL in hits. I know they have the number 1 power play unit. I know they have the number 1 goalie. And on paper, that should make them the most complete team in the NHL. But for some reason, I just don't trust the blue line outside of Morrissey. Outside of Morrissey and Pionk and Morrissey are the only guys in this group I trust. Luke Schenn could surprise people. If Luke Schenn is on his game, Winnipeg has a chance to steal the series. If Luke Schenn can actually if Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley become X factors, Winnipeg can steal this series. But Logan Stanley's injured right now. So as long as Dallas can go into Winnipeg and win this, I think it's going to end very quickly unless Morrissey and Stanley come back. Because I think if Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley step up, Luke Schenn's the older brother of Braden Schenn. He just beat his younger brother in a 7-game series on the Blues. Braden's got a Stanley Cup, so I really don't feel bad for Braden. I feel bad for the Blues fans. I don't feel bad for Braden, though. And, Winnipeg's been very inconsistent in the sense that road teams are 8-2 in round two. Maple Leafs, I think, Maple Leafs have the only home win, and I believe it is I think it's the Timberwolves. Might be the I don't know. We'll see. I think the Maple Leafs might be the only one of those teams that won at home, and they're letting the guys play out. I think the reason they're letting the guys play out is because I think the league does not really care for this series. I feel like whoever comes out of Edmonton versus Vegas, that's who the league wants in the cup. And if Dallas won a Western Conference, won a Stanley Cup, I wouldn't be such a conspiracy theorist about that. But there are more clips of Jack Eichel in the Stanley Cup montage than there are Stanley Cup playoffs montage than there are than there are of any player on the Dallas Stars. And only player they have is Jamie Benn, and it looks like Jamie Benn's like Dog the Bounty Hunter. He's trying to actually mess somebody up. And, it does look biased. Even if the league says they're not biased, it looks incredibly biased. So, hey. I just call it like I see it. And Dallas has had 4 shots on goal. They just haven't scored. Winnipeg's done a good job keeping them from scoring. And they're trying to wear down Dallas with physicality, whereas Dallas is trying to wear down Winnipeg with points. But yeah, Dallas has 10 shot attempts. And usually in hockey, the team with the most shot attempts wins. And this is why I said Winnipeg's blue line is up and down. It's very, they do have their moments, but at the same token, it's not consistent. And I just feel like Dallas is a more complete team, even without Miro in the lineup, even without Robertson. I think Dallas is a more complete team. And, if they can win this without their 2 best players, they're going to be at even more of an advantage when we get to the next round. All right. It's 10 p.m. I'm just very happy with what's going on right now. We got 8. And now I have not graded any players, but with how good Dallas has started, I just might continue to stream multitask. I might just be like, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's try to get some more work done. Because I'm very superstitious. If I'm being rewarded for working instead of watching a hockey game, I'm going to keep working. But yeah, let's see what we got here. Ben Oliviero. Liam Bixel, 6'7", 231, 18th pick in 2020. Nil viewed him as like a game changer at defense. Ben Oliviero, 77 points in 28 games. That's pretty good. It's probably another A+, unfortunately. And Hellebuyck's in the zone. Like, Dallas is throwing everything at Connor Hellebuyck, and he just seems to have an answer. And Helly is an answer. Like, we're out shooting Winnipeg 7-0. Everything's going our way. You know, if Winnipeg wins this game, this could be over very quickly, simply because as long as Winnipeg plays with this kind of momentum at home, they might win in 7. But I just don't see Winnipeg beating Dallas in 4 or 5. This is going to go the distance. But yeah. Ben Oliviero, I am working on the write-up for that pick as we speak. Winnipeg only got a shot on goal with 12:57 left. But that's what Dallas has done. Dallas had games against Colorado where and the last time the Dallas Stars won a series opener, it was the 2020 Stanley Cup against the Lightning in the COVID bubble. So and 16-1 in shot attempts, it's 9-1 in shots on goal, 5-0 in scoring chances. So, you know, we're at the point where Winnipeg's going to try to take advantage of Dallas, even though Dallas is out shooting them in spades right now. And ultimately, that's going to matter as the series progresses. It's not mattering right now because neither team's taken control of game 1 yet. So you don't really know who has the momentum. All right, so we're at 9 now out of 23. And Kalen Miles, I'll start working on that write-up. I am kind of exhausted, but as long as my team's playing well, I'm going to push myself to my limit. All right, so Kalen Miles is 6'2", 181. And 57 points in 36 games. 28 goals, 29 assists, and this will probably be an A instead of an A+. It's not that I don't like Kalen Miles, it's just, this is the first player where I'm thinking, okay, this is a good player, but it's not a great player. And I don't hate the pick enough to give it a B grade, but I don't love the pick enough to give it an A+ either. And I shouldn't say hate, because B is still a good grade to have, not just for prospects, but for report cards. Bs are still valuable. And Jake Ottinger, another save. What's my prediction for the series? Right now, it's Stars in 6. We'll see, though. I had Edmonton over Toronto in the preseason, and that looks like it's going to happen. I mean, we'll see. It's very early in Edmonton, Vegas, but I feel very confident that Toronto's going to be the team that comes out of the East. All right. Yeah, so Friday, Toronto, Florida, and Winnipeg, Dallas, the two most interesting games will be on TNT. But that's what I've noticed is I've noticed Thursday through Sunday it's TNT, and then Monday through Wednesday it is ESPN, especially with the NBA. And Dallas save 10 minutes left in the first period. Yeah, so about 10 minutes left. Yeah, so we'll see. First A, so, I do like this. Pew's going to Regina. Regina got 3 players, Kyle. I'll tell you who they got. Regina got Maddox Schultz. They got Pew. They got Schultz and Liam Pugh, who sports Spitty Shifty Facts mentioned, and then they also got Logan Henry, a left winger, with the pick they got from the Everett Silvertips at 23 to wrap up the first round. So they got a right wing center, left wing combo that's going to be very formidable and very lethal for weeks to come. The comment, Kyle, though. Our Kyle, though, I thought, that's how drowsy I am. That's how little sleep I've gotten. I appreciate that, though, man. I'm going to start working. Interesting is Jim 80. He has been the. I wonder if that has to do. Is this going to be